Let us execute an immediate, sweeping analytical vector shift away from the frozen, snow-covered mountain enclaves of Colorado and small-town rogue military investigations, and plunge straight into the sun-drenched, calculation-heavy tracking matrices of deep Caribbean Black Ops maritime networks, weaponized geopolitical shadow plays, and the fiercely protective world of a former elite military asset hidden away in plain sight. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored tropical sectors of the Florida Keys and private island outposts, the exclusive procedural grid of a covert government termination operation, and the lethal analytical parameters of an intense maritime survival-based tactical execution matrix with merciless charity. The exceptional, pulse-pounding structural deployment marking the explosive first book in the globally dominant, chart-topping Charity Styles novel Caribbean thriller series by the absolute undisputed sovereign of high-velocity nautical suspense, sharp deep state profiling, and rogue operational statecraft, Wayne Stinnett. This introductory tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, underestimated female protagonist asset running an unyielding lethal loop, a deeply corrupt international pirate syndicate, and an absolute defense of a nation's hidden sovereignty metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn maritime thrillers, where an endangered, hyper-observant female protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of black market smuggling networks, corrupt naval administrative execution orders, and a deadly ring of active institutional gaslighting while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised oceanic ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep behavioral profiling, calculated long-range sniper boundaries, and absolute mental stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory fixer network, and where the author utilizes an incandescent former military operative turned island sailor re-recruited by a shadow agency for a deadly assassination run diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. Stag and Genera-adjacent veterans know Stinnett completely dominates the high-precision covert instincts meet tropical hostility dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating open-ocean paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vargs like Lee Child, Vince Flynn, Clive Cussler, and John D. MacDonald, while treating realistic sailing navigation logistics, complex personal alignment arcs, and protective high-density maritime extraction grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central elite operative, Charity Styles, operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of a carefully constructed peaceful sanctuary, deep-seated historical trauma vulnerabilities, and a hyper-visible targeting profile by the global criminal underworld's ruling administrative capos. Behind Charity's rigorous coastal footprints and tense sailing ledger logs lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried intelligence agency secrets, and sharp high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Charity's collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of leading elite government Black Ops deployments and deep cover operations, her entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from rogue cell syndicates, parsing complex behavioral shifts from her powerful cold-eyed handler allies, and shielding her vulnerable island sanctuary nodes from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches her active scanning perimeter. A shadow tier within the U.S. government reacts to a catastrophic global security threat, issuing a direct activation directive that instantly cross-references with high-level calculated malice designed to transform her into the ultimate weapon of systemic suppression. As the hostile target syndicate's mobilization phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier across the turquoise waters, a series of suspicious sabotage attempts, targeted asset intimidation setups, and calculation-heavy open ocean ambushes threaten to permanently eliminate Charity from the active living civilian registry. The official diagnostic metrics of the global tracking centers flash white-hot when her defensive investigative maneuvers and raw physical combat output reveal that her initial operational alignment is radically, impossibly altering the sea lane's historical balance of power. The standard boundaries of routine maritime jurisdiction and peaceful coastal compliance protocols crumble, and our central protagonist runs completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. She is thrust directly into an active, invisible war across the Caribbean basin, where deceptive international defense houses, highly manipulative cartel bosses, and a calculation-heavy mercenary syndicate launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress her survival data stream. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the local harbor docks, dark coastal sniper perimeters, and private fortified yacht safe houses into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our protective veteran protagonist is forced to deploy her massive intuitive tradecraft, elite naval environmental mapping skills, and raw physical combat stamina to repair her perimeter and secure true institutional advancement before the next systemic geopolitical realignment permanently deletes her mission file. When deceptive regional red herrings, corrupted shipping ledgers, and calculation-heavy tactical ambushes launch aggressive plays to delete her path, her survival instincts engage their final deployment tracks. Every midnight archival excavation, every silent choice to stand off against a dirty syndicate commander behind standard security barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at her reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the coastal elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as the author reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial ambush or managing a hostile agency interrogation. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of institutional hierarchy and high society supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective, absolute web of dark possessive loyalty around their union, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secured a sanctuary, our resilient hero must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of her final boundary lines. It is a military maritime thriller, rogue justice suspense, tropical espionage drama, high-velocity covert investigation noir masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one-whispered threat triggers a fatal dockside showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes standoff confrontation, whereas heavy, possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. Stinnett writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct, subtle scent of polished mahogany, expensive gunpowder residue, salt spree, tropical rum, sun-warmed teakwood, spilled copper, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this series' debut into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes community dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. Merciless Charity is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes action fiction and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the fleet.